Welcome back, Irish fans, to Breaking Down Braves Boys podcast. At the end of last season, Mike Bray talked about how his senior class was probably his biggest recruits, and this decision fit right into that. Probably Mike Bray's second biggest recruit of the offseason behind Blake Wesley. Obviously didn't land Wesley back, but gets his chess piece, Nate Laszewski, back. Huge news for Notre Dame, and their season may have been riding on this decision. I think with Laszewski, they're right now, as the roster stands, it's a fringe tournament team. Get another transfer big. I think they could be maybe even a single-digit seed in the tournament. So huge gift for Notre Dame, and kind of solidifies a little bit of the concerns in the front court. I'll get into the front court in general in a minute. I don't think it's where they would like it to be. I don't think that it's a tournament caliber front court at the moment. Their backcourt's going to have to carry them at the moment, but Nate Laszewski coming back provides Notre Dame with the starter who has had stretches of all ACC play throughout his career. So in a room full of question marks, Notre Dame now is a constant, and that constant turns out to be a really good player who affects the game in a lot of ways. Nate, namely, provides them with a lot of lineup versatility. Can play the four, allows Notre Dame to put two bigs on the floor, like Matt Zona at the five or Dom Campbell at the five. Nate can also play the five, which allows them to go small with maybe another big at the four, like Ben Allen Lubin. Maybe they can go four around one with Lubin or Dom or Zona inside. Nate playing the five defensively. Maybe they can go five out with a guy like Dane Goodwin at the four, which they've liked to do a lot throughout the years. Nate allows them to get some size on the floor, but also stretches the floor a ton. And that's another thing that he really provides that they were going to have a hard time doing if he hadn't provided, or if he hadn't came back. Nate's probably one of the best pick and pop guys in all of college basketball and one of the best floor spacers in all of college basketball. So even though he is a bit limited offensively, the floor spacing they have with him really opens things up for Notre Dame. And the way Nate can kind of make defenses respect everybody on the floor, even though, I mean, the offensive skill set isn't fully complete, and he may not be the low post threat of a guy like Paul Atkinson or maybe what they need in the low post. Nate can really open up the lane and make guys respect all five guys on the floor. So Nate Laszewski coming back is huge for the lineup versatility. It's huge for floor spacing, and it's also huge defensively and on the glass. Nate, I think, was Notre Dame's leading rebounder last year. To me, he was their best post defender. I don't know that he's a great post defender, probably around average, maybe a little below average for the ACC. But just having a guy who you know can give you at least some sort of solid production on the glass, and a guy who can at least help you down low to combat the ACC type bigs is huge. And I'm not sure that any of those guys coming in you can really say that about Dom Campbell. I don't know how much his athleticism and footwork plays as a freshman. Matt Zona, same thing, and Ben Allen Lubin's a little skinny still to guard a like Justin Butts, and he's also a little bit short to guard Justin Butts. So Nate Laszewski coming back, I think, is pretty noteworthy defensively as well. He's somewhat switchable. Has guarded ACC bigs for 4 years. Has developed a little bit of a toughness and a tenacity down low over the last kind of year and a half, I would say, which is huge for Notre Dame. I think just having a guy you know can defend at like an average level down there is huge for Notre Dame. Now you go complement him with like a Van Allen Lubin who can play above the rim a little bit and then have some physicality with the other two bigs. And I'm not saying it's a good defensive front court at the moment, but it's far from what it could have been. So good gift for Notre Dame on the defensive end. And Laszewski is a guy who's affected the game in a lot of ways throughout his career. I think Notre Dame really would have missed it if he hadn't come back. The Clemson game this year, I think, is a good example on the road where Laszewski probably wasn't 100%. Didn't really seem like he was going to play heading into it. Bray didn't think he was going to play heading into it. But played, had a huge brace on his knee, couldn't move the way he normally does, but allowed him to play two bigs, which was huge for kind of the lineups that Clemson wanted to run. They were able to match up better because Laszewski was in the game. They were really able to spread the floor while still having two bigs on the floor. With Laszewski in the game, he got some rebounds, played solid defense, and Notre Dame wins that game by, I think, 10, 15 points, largely in part to what Laszewski did and how he was able to affect the game. Outside of his scoring, he only had around 3 points, but was in the game for a long period of time and made an impact on it, even without big numbers that he put up. So that's kind of what I like about Nate Laszewski coming back. I really like how he can affect the game, even without being a huge scorer. Obviously, the pick and pop stuff is going to get him a lot of looks. He can attack well off closeouts and can catch and shoot with the best of them in college basketball, obviously. Laszewski, I think, has really benefited from good point guard play. If he has a good duo with his point guard, he can be incredible. I think we just need to see kind of how Notre Dame's point guard situation develops for him to be a high-level scorer. If Laszewski is a high-level scorer, it's going to be because there's guys who can find him. And I think the numbers of Dane Goodwin and Nate Laszewski are probably the biggest indicators of how good Notre Dame's point guard play is and how good they are getting into the lane, kicking it out, and finding guys for good looks. So Nate, I think, is going to be a little dependent offensively, but Notre Dame doesn't need him to put up huge numbers on the glass or offensively, really. They need Nate to do what Nate does, stretch the floor, give them lineup versatility, play defense, compete on the glass, and try to set the tone down there a little bit. Maybe he can get his post-game shirt up a little bit. Maybe he can develop some off-the-dribble moves to make him more appealing to the pros. But largely what you're going to get from Nate Laszewski is what you've got the last 4 years, and this Notre Dame team needs that desperately. So huge get for Notre Dame. I don't really use that lightly. I think there's still issues, but this is a huge step in the right direction for Notre Dame. The front court is still a concern. Interior defense is still a concern, and they don't really have a post threat at the moment if Dom or Matt Zona doesn't turn out to be a guy who can give them great minutes throughout the first year. So there is still issues. They have 4 guys in the front court now, and then 2 small ball 4s in Dane Goodwin and J.R. Knesny. Tony Sanders also a small ball 4, so they do have guys to fill minutes, but at the moment they don't have a post star who's established. Can Matt Zona or Dom Campbell be that? Not exactly sure. I'm not super confident in their front court defense, even with the transfers they're looking at. I'm not super jazzed about their interior defense. Laz is a step in the right direction. They've got some physical guys with Dom and Matt. Ben Allen Lubin's a freak athlete, and that's going to help you down there. But I think they still have some questions there, and the 2 transfers they've got, or they're looking at, Michael Wong and Mikey Henn. Those guys are kind of stretch 4s who can complement Laszewski well. I don't know that either of those guys are back to the basket, put it on the floor, and lay it up and be a low post guy. And I don't know. I also don't think either of them are huge shot blockers or guys who are going to really compete with ACC bigs like Justin Mutz, Armando Bacot. I think Notre Dame's still going to have a lot of trouble with those guys, but Laz is a step in the right direction, can guard some of those thinner bigs, and can also at least compete with the older, more physical bigs. So step in the right direction there, still not finished. Offensively, like I said, the low post, not finished. Need something from the returners in that aspect, and I'm not sure Notre Dame gets the answers they want out of the returners. Dom Campbell has all the footwork, has all the touch around the rim, has the finesse, but can he get his body and athleticism to play as a freshman? Matt Zona, same thing, like I said. And Ben Allen Lubin, I don't think is going to be a huge low post guy. He's going to be more of a guy with a floor game who can kind of face up and make plays that way. I don't know if that's fully developed either, though. So the offense is going to come from the guards this year. Laszewski, I think, is going to be on the floor regardless. Obviously, he's going to help those guards, and those guards are going to help him. That's a two-way street. And like I said, I think Notre Dame is in a much, much better spot than they could have been. But I think they need one more transfer or a huge jump from a Matt Zona or better contributions than we're expecting from a Dom Campbell to really become what they think they can become. And that's a tournament team and a team that could be a single-digit seed. So a lot of question marks in the front court still, but Nate Laszewski coming back is a huge, huge move for Notre Dame. And Notre Dame fans should be excited. Even if Laszewski's a 7 or 8 point per game guy, this is still maybe the biggest move in Notre Dame's offseason. Like I said, probably Notre Dame's second biggest draft decision. And this one seemed like it was a 50-50 the whole way. Kind of seemed like it was trending the other direction as we went into like the last 2 weeks. Laszewski had his pro day. NBA people liked what they saw there. He got a workout with the Hawks, and then thought maybe there was a chance he would keep his name in, try to get a summer league invite, try to go overseas. But Laszewski will come back, and Notre Dame is much, much better for it. Bray didn't go all that bad in his draft decisions. Lost Blake Wesley, obviously. Lost Prentice Hub. Lost Paul Atkinson, but gets a haul back. Cormac Ryan, who could be in for a breakout. Dane Goodwin, who we know what he is now. Nate Laszewski, we also know what he is. And then Trey Wirtz, who maybe could expand his offensive game a little bit like we've seen in the past. So Notre Dame's in a solid spot now. Need one more transfer or a leap from a guy that's already on the roster. But big news for Notre Dame. And looking forward to seeing kind of how this team progresses. And this is a big step in the right direction. So thank you guys for watching. Going to have some recruiting talk soon. Maybe try to get an interview or two in a few weeks. And looking forward to hearing from you guys in the comments and following this team more over the next few months. So thank you guys for watching, and peace.